Okay, so for this particular video, I'm going to be looking at permutations and combinations, which comes up in probability. So, the first question I'm looking at is from the exam papers. It's 2018 paper 2, question 3. And it reads, a security code consists of 6 digits chosen at random from the digits 0 to 9. Okay? And you're asked to find how many possible codes will end with a 0. Well, in total, they're between 0 and 9. So I'll make a quick list of them. There are 10 digits. Okay, there are 10 digits if you count them up there. And it has to end with a 0. So if you were to write out all your places, which is your 6 places, okay, so if your 6 places, it must end with a 0. So 0 must go in here at the end. There's only one option for 0 to go in. Only one option for 0 can be included, which leaves you then with other options everywhere else. You can use 0 again, you see. The question does not state that if repetition is not allowed. It doesn't say that you cannot use 0 again. It just states that 0 must be at the end, which means then that technically you have all 10 digits to pick from here and still here also all the way across. Because I could have all the zeros as my code, or I could have just a 9 here at the start and everything else is 0. And as I was talking about in class, these options multiply by each other, which means then that your final solution will end up being 100,000 possibilities or options or ways that can be done. So that's the part 1. That was question 3, part 1. And I may not have said at the start of the video, I'll be uploading the actual question separately on the web for you to see as well, okay? So that's that. So in part 2, it says find how many of the possible codes will contain the digits 2018 together in this order. And we were talking about this today in class actually. So for part 2, we must have 2018 and it must appear in that order in the 6 options. So similar to what we were talking about, that the vowels had to be beside each other from the word problem or whichever one we're looking at. So the way of looking at this again is, well, we can have 1 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10. We could have 10 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 10. We could have 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 1. And the reason why we have that options is, well, the digits 2018, if I was to write out my placements again, and let's imagine we fill in 2018 into that. There's only so many ways I can write 2018 in that. It can go at the very start, it can go here, and it can go at the very end. So there's only kind of 3 locations where I can position 2018 in that order in the places, which is why we have 3 options here. 2018 could go at the start, go at the middle, go at the end. That's what I'm showing here. So if it was to go at the start, there is only one way that you can have 2018 in that order. But again, just like with part 1 of the question, there's no statement in relation if you can do repetition or not. So the remaining 2 positions here at the end, well, there are 10 digits then I can choose from here and 10 digits I can choose from there. So there is only one way that I can write 2018. That's the one way, which is highlighted here at the start. But there are 10 options here because repetition is allowed. And there are 10 options here again because repetition is allowed, which is why I have 1 by 10 by 10. And as I stated then at the start of this question, well, if I was to move 2018 to the middle, that would be represented here by this number 1. leaving that I can have 10 digits for the first empty box and 10 digits for the last empty box. And then finally, if I was to put 2018 at the very end, I could have 10 options at the first and 10 options at the second, followed by 2018. Now, this brings us on to an important phrase then in probability, which I'll be talking about in class. It can be this, or this, or this. These are your three options, option 1 or option 2 or option 3. And as I will say in class, or means to add in probability. In which case then I'm going to add these three options together. So we're going to add these three options here together, which gives you a total of 300 ways. Okay, thanks.